Let's bring in the Republican Senator Mike Braun, who's now the governor-elect of the state of Indiana. Thank you, sir, for joining us today. Is that, you know, I would say if I was one of 100, I'd like to be one of one, too. Was that the motivation? You wanted to be governor and getting out of D.C., or?
Well, for me, it was a fork in the road. You had to pick one or the other. I'm a big believer in term limits, so I pledged I'd never do it more than 2 terms. And I've been the loudest voice on fiscal kind of irresponsibility here, most outspoken Republican on reforming health care, things that we don't do very well, even when we say we're fiscal conservatives. And on the issues of the day, Republicans generally are flat-footed, and then we get Green New Deal, stuff that costs a fortune. So I felt it was better to go back where you set the agenda.
Right.
I worked with the legislature back in 15, 16, and 17, and a big believer that the states will actually find a lot of the solutions that we've just defaulted to the federal government. And this place hasn't knocked anything out of the park, in my observation, in a long time.
Let me ask you about some of those issues. As you mentioned, you've been an advocate for more fiscal discipline, which many people think Washington could use. So we'll talk about DOGE in a moment. First, on the president's nominees, the president-elect, a number of them up on the Hill this week. You're on, or have been a member of the Committee on Agriculture, Nutrition, and Forestry. So if you were still in the Senate for a vote, I'm wondering how you would kind of vote given those issues on an RFK Jr. Here's what President-elect Trump had to say about his news conference yesterday. Watch.
Well, I'm a big believer in it, and I think everything should be looked at, but I'm a big believer in the polio vaccine, the Salk vaccine.
Do you think schools should mandate vaccines? Do you think schools should mandate vaccines?
I don't like mandates. I'm not a big mandate person.
Talking about vaccine skepticism, which is one of the issues. As I've referenced, some of the other issues have to deal with nutrition issues, food safety, and the like. You think you would have supported them if you were voting?
So, first of all, I won't, because it'll be the new Senate.
Right.
But it'd be clear to me, the folks that have been running it have been sidling up to FDA in some ways to keep things from coming onto the market. This whole business of health care being based upon expensive remediation in a system that's broken, with huge health insurance companies and hospitals, state like my own, we've got some of the highest health care costs and poorest outcomes. So something needs to change from what we've been doing. And I fixed it in my own business many years ago by basing it upon wellness and prevention and getting my own employees involved in their own well-being and becoming healthcare consumers. We do none of that, and we got almost a monopoly when it comes to the provision of healthcare through insurance and hospitals. So something's got to give, and RFK has said that he's not going to weigh in on conventional vaccines. My office led against the COVID mandate on the vaccine. 2 weeks later, the Supreme Court said that was unconstitutional, and that is how hard the other side of the aisle weighed in on it when COVID was in the rearview mirror. So I think he'll be a breath of fresh air.
Okay.
And if he tones down some of this stuff that's kind of out there, I think he's going to bring a lot of new ideas that need to come to the healthcare front. Hopefully Republicans will lead on it then.
Second issue, you mentioned your background in business before getting to politics, long career, you ran your own company, manufacturing space, and I wonder what you make of the plans for all the tariffs. I'll put up a headline from the Hill that talks about the Trump tariff plan threatening to drive up gas prices. We've seen other, articles saying that prices might go up in other areas. Do you think this plan might slow the economy in a place like Indiana, lead to higher inflation?
So here's how I think that works, and we are distributors, not manufacturers, but it would impact us as well. Tariffs are going to be used by Trump to probably get countries to do something that they're not doing, either like enforcing the border when it comes to Canada or Mexico, and when it comes to just the old use of tariffs, almost everyone protects their markets. We're the ones that don't. And trade is based upon fair trade, ideally free. But when we're taking all the tariffs for our goods going out, in many cases, into other countries, you'll need to use it as a tool to at least get that balance. So.
Right. Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.